The human space exploration helps to address fundamental questions about our place in the universe and the history of our solar system. Through addressing the challenges related to human space exploration, we expand technology, create new industries, and help to foster a peaceful connection with other nations. And in today's list of top 10, we have NASA's top 10 failed missions. So welcome to the top 10 list everybody, and let's see the top 10 failed missions of NASA. And on number 10 we have the OCO. OCO stands for the Orbiting Carbon Observatory Satellite. NASA intended the OCO to provide an orbiting platform from which scientists would be able to look at how carbon dioxide moved through the atmosphere. Hyped as a space-down look at global warming, the OCO was supposed to help researchers figure out climate change. But the problem was, the OCO never made it into the orbit, as the case containing satellite failed to separate from the rocket during the launch, leading the whole assembly to crash into the ocean 17 minutes after its liftoff. And on number 9 we have the DART, Demonstration for Autonomous Rendezvous Technology spacecraft. Upset with the expense and risk of launching the shuttle every time a satellite needed maintenance, NASA created the DART to show that a robotic satellite could dock with other satellites. DART was supposed to autonomously navigate towards and then rendezvous with an existing communication satellite. The problem was, the computer controlling DART incorrectly estimated the distance between the two satellites, causing the DART bump right into this other satellite. DART then used up all of its fuel, eventually crashing into the ocean. Number 8. NASA Helios. Not actually a space probe, but Helios was the last in a line of high-altitude, solar-powered atmospheric research platforms designed to fly in the upper atmosphere. But while the previous aircrafts in the series succeeded in breaking a number of flight records, Helios just couldn't hack it. About 30 minutes after its takeoff, Helios hit some powerful wind shear and crashed into the Pacific. Number 7. On number 7 we have the Hubble Space Telescope. The first in a series of space telescopes, the Hubble would allow astronomers to look at the stars without atmospheric interference. This would, and eventually did, provide the most detailed images of the distant universe. The problem was, much like the nerds who designed the telescopes, Hubble had a vision problem. When grinding the original camera lens, engineers failed to compensate for the minute shape change the lens would undergo when moved into a zero-gravity environment. The solution was glasses. Once a corrective lens was added, the Hubble was able to look deep into the universe. Number 6. The Genesis. Genesis was designed to catch pieces of the sun itself. Genesis flew into space to collect solar winds in specially designed sheets of gold, diamond, and sapphire. By studying actual pieces of the sun, scientists hoped to learn about the original composition of the solar system. But it wasn't the grabbing of a piece of the sun proved to be a problem, but the bringing it back. The satellite was too delicate to simply land, so NASA planned to catch the capsule in mid-air by hooking its parachute with a helicopter. Except the parachute never deployed, and the satellite slammed into the Utah desert. Luckily, those wafers were built tough, and scientists managed to recover some of the samples for testing. Number 5. Space-Based Infrared System SBIRS. A series of classified surveillance satellites, SBIRS was supposed to answer the Air Force's need for tracking ballistic missile launches. Consisting of high and low orbit satellites, SBIRS is scheduled to go online next year. But the problem was, ignoring the 10 billion cost overrun for the project and the possibility that it won't work at all, one of the first SBIRS satellites shut down only 7 seconds after reaching Earth orbit. The satellite safety mechanism malfunctioned, putting the satellite into a safe mode, and it then reduced to an ice cube. Number 4. The MPL Mars Polar Lander. The Mars Polar Lander was part of an extensive 1998 push to study the Red Planet. The program consisted of a soil probe, a lander, and a satellite. As the lander, the MPL was supposed to study the climate and surface of Mars. But the problem was, no one really knows what happened to MPL. The spacecraft successfully reached Mars, but NASA never made contact with the MPL. Anything from a faulty transmitter to a complete crash to interference from Marvin could have caused the failure. NASA still hopes to one day find the MPL and figure out what went wrong. Number 3. Deep Space 2. The Deep Space 2 was sent to Mars on the same spacecraft as the MPL. The Deep Space 2 was a penetrator designed to burrow into the Martian soil and collect data on water and chemical composition. But the problem was, much like the MPL, the fate of the Deep Space 2 remains a mystery. Both probes were built under a faster, better, cheaper rubric that dominated NASA in the 1990s. Eventually, judged as a failure, the ethos tasked NASA with generating a greater number of less expensive projects rather than the small number of large projects that dominated most of the agency's history. While NASA produced probes that were plenty cheap, many of them weren't as fast or better as hoped. Number 2. The MCO Mars Climate Orbiter. The brains of the 1998 Mars missions, NASA intended the MCO to serve the dual function of studying the Martian atmosphere and relaying radio signals from the two surface probes. But the problem was, in one of the all-time great engineering graphs, NASA subcontractor Lockheed Martin created thruster software that used imperial units, not the metric units used by NASA. NASA never knew this, and they never converted from pounds to newtons, and the probe eventually hit the atmosphere at the wrong angle and burned up. Number 1. The NOAA-19. The NOAA-19 was the last in a series of weather satellites that monitor atmospheric conditions, follow volcanic eruptions, and conduct climate research. But the problems there have been many satellites lost in space, some of them fallen into the ocean, some of them got burned. But then there is this case in which, during the final servicing at a Lockheed Martin facility in California, engineers failed to check if the satellite was bolted down before moving it and accidentally knocked down the multi-million-dollar piece of equipment onto the ground, breaking a number of components in the event, resulting in breaking a number of components of the satellite. That's it for today's top 10 list, guys. Please don't forget to like and subscribe for more interesting top 10 things and press the bell icon to get notified. Thank you.